they're coming from Dallas. I'm so used to them having to come through Waco, because it's like going to Austin, you got to come through Waco. Going to here, you got to go through Waco. So yeah,
True. That's true.
but awesome. All right, let me close this. All right, so if you're ready, I'll do an intro and we'll jump into it.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. All right. Welcome everybody to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet. And no, I am not insane. You're not insane. This has been the second podcast today, but we are grinding it out this week. We've taken too many vacations, and I just had to get more podcasts in for y'all. So I really brought home the Texas heat, I'm going to say. Finally, I know. So first off, we have Payton, Howie. How's it going today?
It's going good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I know we were originally supposed to do a podcast a couple of months. You were doing a show at the backyard over here in Waco. And I know we had kind of had a chat at one point about doing something then, but last minute things come up and it just didn't happen. But I'm glad we were able to get this one booked. So
right, me too, for sure.
And right in time for your new single. So that's got to be exciting times.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's coming out this Friday.
Nice. Awesome. So you're born and raised in North Houston. I'm going to just say North Houston because for most of the listeners, if we start getting into the weeds a little bit about all the small towns in North Houston, so what was it like growing up in North Houston?
So I actually didn't grow up in North Houston. I was born and raised on the West Coast, out in Southern California. That's actually where I was born and raised. I grew up there, and I moved down to the Houston area just a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought you were born and raised in Houston.
No, it's all good,
That's fair. Oh, so growing up on the West Coast, what was that like then?
It's very different from being here in Texas, which is like crazy because I love Texas. I think it's the best thing ever. But it really was different. But there was like a lot of music fluidity, like lots of different genres coming in and out, but lots of musical talent out there on the West Coast, of course, coming with even like from the rock scene. A lot of great country guys came from around there, a lot of like stuff with the Highwaymen and stuff like that, So that was really cool getting to grow up around all that. And that's like the stuff that I was raised on. So no complaints there, but that definitely, had an impact on my musical influence.
Yeah. So what ended up bringing you out to Texas then?
My family has family friends that have lived out here for a long time, and we'd always came back and visited back and forth all the time. And right around when COVID hit, we were just like, hey, let's just make the move, and honestly, it was like the best thing I've ever done. I love it in Texas. It's just great.
Nice. Awesome. So kind of taking a step back from that, who kind of introduced you to music originally? Who was like the driving force behind your musical?
Yeah. Well, music's always something that's just kind of been like inside me. Even as a kid, I was always like running around the house singing. Everyone's like, shut up, and learning to play different instruments, and whatnot. But my dad is a total, rock guy, classic rock guy. And my mom was always like into the country music. And so I kind of got the best of both worlds with that. And when I was about 5 years old, my mom took me to my very first concert. And it was a Carrie Underwood concert. And, long story short, I was just dancing in the aisle and she brought me up on stage and I was like 5 years old. So I remember that, like getting out, like to stand on the stage with Carrie Underwood and look out at all the faces of these people on her Some Hearts tour. It was just like insane to think, these people, I don't even know each other. None of these people know each other, and they're all coming together because of music and their love of music, and to see a show and like have that thing, shared with each other. And it's just, that really set a fire inside of me to be like, hey, like, this is what I want to do kind of thing. And just kind of from there,
Yeah, for sure. And then was it from there did you just kind of jump into it from there? Or was it, was there a little bit of like a learning curve that kind of happened? Did you always know you could, I guess the better question is, did you always know you could sing, or did you just kind of start trying things out at that point?
I think it just kind of evolved because I was always, whether it was good or bad, like singing every genre, everything, and I just loved, making music. I was teaching myself to play guitar at like 14, and I was playing piano, like since I, was a really young age, like since
Yeah.
I can remember, I've been playing piano and just, trying different things out and just having fun making music. And I really started to take it serious when I was about 13, 14 is when I started, teaching myself to play and going out and playing open mics or, playing shows around in my hometown and learning from other musicians and other artists and, started songwriting. And that's, I think, when I started taking it seriously.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What was kind of the turning point for when when you started to write? Was there like a moment where it was like, okay, I need to start writing my own music?
I think that was something that I had always wanted to mess around with, even
Mm,
as a kid. I remember, and it's crazy. I think
mm,
back on this now. I released my debut EP titled Youngblood back in
mm,
February of last year, and being a musician, there's so much like just fast paced, like being an
yeah,
artist and releasing and recording music on, trying to have a plan. There's so much going on. It's so hard to take time to stop and look back. And that was a moment that I look back on, was the moment that I was like, I would just love to just write and record a song. Like, I just think it would be so cool to
yeah.
just get to write a song of my own and just hear it recorded, I
Mhm.
would love that, being a kid. And that's what I was thinking. And I remember thinking that, I'd be sitting in the shower, like, oh my gosh, like the echo, the
Yeah,
reverb kind of thing,
yeah,
like just thinking how cool it would be to have a recorded song. And then fast forward to, February of last year. And I'm like, I just put out a 5-song
yeah,
EP and I didn't even stop to think, like, that's, a dream of mine, was to just have a song out.
yeah, for sure. And just the fact that, I mean, obviously the pandemic kind of had to have slowed things down a little bit, because I know you started like releasing singles in like 2019 and stuff like that. And then obviously pandemic kind of hits. How much did that kind of slow down or how something that kind of came up interesting in a previous podcast that I had this week was talking about how far everybody's behind schedule as far as releasing their music. And I've never really thought it that way, because like the pandemic, you know, some people just didn't release music when they wanted to. So did that kind of delay like the release of the EP, or was it just always going to kind of be 2022?
Honestly, it kind of just happened that way. And I mean, just truthfully speaking, I was one of the artists that was lucky enough where it didn't impact me too much,
Yeah,
because I was just hitting it hard, like writing music and
yeah,
getting in good co-writes and getting into the studio. Just that was the plan. Like, I didn't really
mhm,
let it stop me. I didn't the people that I was surrounding myself with in my team at the time, they didn't let it like stop what we were doing at all. Like, we just worked around it and made do with what we had to do, and made it work. And
yeah,
personally speaking, it didn't really change the course of my like release plan too much, which I'm really, really grateful for, obviously.
yeah, yeah. Now, having gone through your Instagram a few different times, I noticed that you're splitting a lot of time between Texas and Nashville. Is it you're just going to Nashville, or do you kind of live in both places? Because I know,
Yeah, I live
yeah,
there part time. I'm
okay,
there like so frequently.
yeah,
My family's in Texas, so
mm,
I love getting to be home. And like, there's honestly like a lot of really great places to play in Texas as
mm,
well. So like, especially with like
yeah,
touring and stuff like that,
sure,
I'm in Texas a lot.
yeah,
But I do a lot of my work out in Nashville,
mm,
recording, writing, meetings, stuff like that. And so I do basically split my time in half being out there in Nashville.
yeah, for sure. And it's something that I've been trying to explain to a lot of, not necessarily just country musicians. It's just that's predominantly what we have on the podcast. Is Texas is one of these really cool states where you could do a short 1 week tour and do it all in Texas and never really leave, and you're in front of a different audience every night, because you
That's
can
the
go,
truth. It really is true. I
yeah,
mean, totally.
yeah,
There's so many great places to play in Texas.
yeah, because you can go from like Houston to Dallas to Austin to San Antonio, and they're all within 3 hours of each other, but there's completely different areas, so it's always really interesting. And just people don't realize how big Texas is. So
I mean, it is so true. Like, I've played a lot of places in Texas in the short amount of time I've been here, and it just feels like
mm,
every time I'm just meeting a new demographic of people or getting to, connect with people I've never even seen before. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So since one thing that we really like to do on the podcast is pass on, like, just try and make it a little informative for like the younger musicians. And since you're still really young in your career and, you started releasing music in 2019, and most musicians kind of target that as like when they started doing music, as like when they first officially started releasing music. So in this short time, what's a lesson that you've learned over the last few years since you've started releasing music?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think there's a lot of lessons that have been learned just even in the short time that I've been releasing music. But I would say definitely the biggest thing as an artist is to always like stay true to what you're doing, stay true to like what you want to do and the music that you want to create, while at the same time being open-minded to learning from other people. Because I think so many times, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, just you do you, like do your own thing. And yes, I agree with that to a certain extent. But I also think like there's so much to be learned from people that have gone before you, and just sitting down and having a co-write with somebody else, even if they're not like, whatever, got a crazy pub deal and have written, #1 hits. Like, even if they're not that, they still have some insight and a completely different brain that works different than yours does. And it's like, there's so much to be learned from everybody. I know, like how many times I've heard just a random person in conversation or just someone that's not even a musician say something. And I'm like, that's a song right there. Like, that's a lyric. Like, you know what I mean? And just, there's so much to be learned and there's so much to be, absorbed just from the rest of the world. So while yes, I do think, stand firm on your creative beliefs and what you want to create, and also allowing yourself to evolve as an artist, definitely be open-minded to what other people have to offer and the knowledge and the experience that other people have lived, because lots of people have done it the hard way and are more than willing to share with you how to not do that. And I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of those people.
Yeah. And I think a lot of them live here in Texas. It's wild how many touring musicians that are really well known in Texas just because they do what they call like the Texas loop, whatever their Texas loop is. And, they're just really well known in Texas and they know what works. I think Texas is a really untapped resource as far as like knowledge for music and how to go about things. So
yeah, very true. There's lots of artists in Texas that are on different levels that have still like experienced lots of different things and have lots of knowledge to share.
Yeah. And then there's also those musicians that, like I said, they're just really well known in Texas and they make a good living just touring around Texas. But if you go to Nashville, they've never heard of them, or,
True. That's very true.
Yeah. Which that's always interesting because, like you got that Texas red dirt like genre that's really prominent obviously in Texas, but it's just kind of funny how that hasn't like transferred over to Nashville or like any other parts of the country. So
it's true. Yeah, the genre all on its own.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the new single. We talked about or teased it at the top of the show. You have a new single dropping on Friday. It's called About Her. What's the story behind it?
Yeah, so the song I'm dropping Friday, I'm really excited about it. This one's called Crazy About Her. And it's gonna be kind of like a cool country dance vibe. It's kind of like, the story about how us girls can be so crazy when we see our ex, with somebody new. I've had that experience where I've been out like dancing with my friends and I see my ex walking with the new girl and I'm like, oh my gosh, and us girls like, we could be pretty crazy, not gonna lie. Sometimes our ex brings in some new girl and our first thing is to like, oh my god, we're gonna go look her up on Instagram or we're gonna go look her up on Facebook or whatever, and I cannot believe she's wearing that, I cannot believe she posted that. And it's just like, it's so funny because with how us girls can get about that kind of stuff, sometimes we're not even so much hung up on the ex, we're more like hung up on the fact that he has a new girlfriend. We're like, what? So that's what that song is about. It's called Crazy About Her. And it's like, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to share it. It's coming out on Friday.
Awesome. And it'll be up on Spotify and all the typical streaming platforms and all that fun stuff.
It'll be there.
Awesome. So Crazy About Her. How long's this song's how long has this song been in the works? Is it a newer song? Is it an older song? Like, where does it kind of range in the lineage of your writing?
It's actually pretty new. It's funny because I've been writing a lot within the last few months. And I've just been kind of like, writing anything and everything, just getting everything out and trying to get, my creative
Mhm.
juices flowing. And this song I literally finished not too long ago. I want to say I literally finished it in the end of 2022.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like,
Okay.
just towards the, like literally like last year, I was just like, we were just writing stuff, and then like this is I dig this. This is a
Yeah.
cool vibe. I want to drop this. Like, let's do it. So I'd been in the studio recording stuff, and I'm like, just that just happened to be the one that I was like, that's the one I want to do, and it just
Yeah.
happened to be one of the most recent ones. I was like, all right,
Nice.
let's do it.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. Yeah, I was feeling good about it. Let's do it. So I'm
Nice.
really excited about it for sure.
Sweet. And have you had a chance to play it out yet, or is this like nobody's ever heard it other than in your team?
A few people have heard it because we've played it at a few shows. But I'm really excited. We're doing a release party for the single on Saturday, this coming Saturday, February 11th at Pacific Yard House in Conroe, Texas. So
Okay.
we're gonna have a huge release party, and we'll get to play it like for a large audience. That'll be like the first time we've ever played it. But I've played it for a
Nice.
few people here and there at shows, but nothing like insane. Like I've done some acoustic versions and stuff like that, but this is going to be like the first time getting to do it for real since the song has been out. So not a lot of people have heard it.
Awesome. I might have to take a road trip on Saturday. That might be.
Hey, let me know.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
It's so funny because it's like I've only been in Texas since I moved like 6 months before the pandemic. I moved here in October of 2019. And like during the pandemic, it was just kind of like, okay, Waco's another city, Texas is just another state. And just like the last year, since everything's been like really open and I've been able to kind of get out and do things, it's like Texas is different. Like, I don't know
Oh
how to
yeah.
explain it. Texas is different. I'm, and it's just kind of like the only thing that could sneak me or steal me away from Texas is Nashville. And like right now, it's just kind of like, I think I'm going to stay in Texas a while. So it's,
Texas is really great.
yeah,
Honestly, it's insane. It's an
yeah,
experience all on its own.
yeah. Except having to drive through West Texas. I'm not really a fan of that, but I don't do it that often. So
There you go. Yeah, that's
maybe,
true. That's true. It's a trek.
yeah, maybe once a month, but every once in a while, it's all right. So, so you got the new single dropping on Friday. You got the big show on Saturdays. So you got a busy week, and then were you doing a promo run today? Is that why you were up in Dallas, or
Yeah, it was actually really cool. I got to do like a really intimate acoustic show at the Texan Theater in Greenville, Texas, which was very cool. I was up in the Dallas area.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It was like a live streamed show, but also there was like a live audience. So it's like
Yeah.
I'd never done anything like quite like that before, and it's like a actual theater. I'm like, this is very cool. And it was just me and a guitar up there, and I was like, wow, this is really, really cool and intimate. And it was just all original music and just got to tell stories and connect with these people. It was
nice.
really great. And obviously I got to play the new song, so they got to hear it acoustic, but so I got to tell that story, and it was a really great experience. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Like when we were trying to get this scheduled and you were kind of giving the dates you had available, I was like, man, I'd really hate to like double book her. And like, I knew you lived in the Houston area, but then I was like, man, going from Dallas to Houston, that's a trek, and I'd really hate to like, do that. But today was like the only day that made any kind of sense in my schedule. So I was like, all right, well, we'll just make it later and we'll do this. So,
No worries.
yeah,
I was willing. Let's go.
yeah, nice. Awesome. So kind of moving forward with your music, as you kind of approach these final couple days coming up to the release, what's kind of running through your mind right now?
Really just trying to, promo and, get people excited about the song. I've had so many people be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. Because I haven't released a single since I released Keep Her Breathing, which is, it's been a while, but I mean, at the same time, like I've had so much to talk about with my music, and I kind of felt like it was all right to not, be putting out a ton of music at that time, because I put out Keep Her Breathing, and I was still, people were still really, really excited about that song, and Jail and Jesus as well, because I got to release a music video for that. So that was a huge talking point for me, and a lot of just a lot of things that I got to share with that music video being released. Not to mention Never Go Home. I got to release that to regional radio. So that was, talking about that for a long time, and got to talk about that. And it's been crazy. And now I'm like, well, I'm really excited. I want to put out new music. So I'm doing it. I was like, let's go. So, yeah, I'm really excited. So it's just really just, talking about the song, getting ready for release. And then once the song drops, it's a whole other journey of like, keeping up with all that. And, I'm just excited. Releasing new music has got to be one of my favorite parts of the business, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of those things, because it's like, it's coming, what you have, the bullet that's in the chamber, and it's just kind of like, can't wait for this to be released. And and then it gets out there, and then you just have this euphoria of, okay, let's see what people have to say. And then that starts coming in, and then you want to push it, and then you start getting ideas for other things. Yeah, so I get it.
True. I love that. Yeah.
So are you with Crazy About Her, is it leading to another EP, or do you kind of just stay thinking singles for right now? Because obviously the music industry is very in an interesting space as far as like releasing music. So I'm kind of interested to hear where you're at on that front.
Yeah, I'm really thinking singles right now, especially because with how everything works with just like certain songs gaining a lot of traction, and sometimes you'll release a song, and I've had this experience too. This happened to me with some of my songs that I've released in the past, where I'll have a total release plan for the whole year. Then I'll drop a song and it just goes nuts. And I'm like, well, I could release another song right now, but people are still really hyped about this one. And I kind of want to like be in that moment and let people have that moment with this song, and obviously you got to keep dropping music. You got to do it because people are wanting it. And I'm wanting it too. So it's like, I'm really wanting to release music, but at the same time, I think it's kind of like a kind of feeling it out and feeling what people are loving from you. And also feeling like as an artist, like, hey, what do I want to be putting out into the world right now? So I think it's definitely definitely right now I'm thinking singles, especially because I want to be very, very productive with the songs that I'm putting out.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that you have the mindset of reading the room, essentially, like you release a song and you realize, oh, hey, it's buzzing and it's still buzzing. I don't necessarily want to step on its toes. But then as you kind of see the natural decline, it's like, all right, I've got that next one ready to go. So then you could just kind of build up the suspense or the excitement or whatever it is. Whereas like with EPs, LPs, full-length projects or bigger projects, you're kind of releasing it all at once. And it's like, yeah, you get a little bit of a bigger bump, but it doesn't sustain longer with this bigger bump. So
yeah, and I mean, I think it's all a matter of what people want, what people are looking for. So I'm all excited about it. I think people are excited to hear the new songs. I'm really excited to be putting it out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to hear Crazy About Her, and just, being able to have listened to most of your music that you have on Spotify. It's really, a lot of it like, to me, when I like looking at some of the titles, it's like, you wouldn't think that I'd be like your core audience, but then just kind of listening to the music, it's like, nope, this all makes sense. It's all great. It's all amazing. And I've got some of them on repeat on my playlist. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. It means a lot.
So kind of taking a step outside of music, now that like once this single's released and it's kind of got its legs out there and doing its thing, what do you do to decompress? What do you do to, if you need to take a step back, what are some of your hobbies?
Man, I really just love getting to be with family and friends. Like I said, we're throwing the release party on Saturday, and we're gonna play the show. It's gonna be awesome. But then after that, we're just gonna like celebrate with friends and family. It's gonna be a good time. We're just gonna have a good old time. We'll come back to my house. We're all just gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna be great, So I love just getting to be with family and friends. We're up on Lake Conroe, so I love getting to go jet skiing. Like that is my thing during the summertime. So when it gets hot, you know where to find me. That is where I will be.
Nice.
I love getting to do that. And even like aside from music as a career, I love getting to just jam with my friends or with the guys in my band. Like we always just have a good time just sitting around, just like playing different instruments, different songs, or whatever. It's like, oh man, just jamming out. Like we will do that all day long.
That's what's up. And that's the cool thing about Texas is, there's those couple of months where you're probably not getting in the lake, but from like April to even into October, November, it's like you can still get in that lake and it's fine. So
that is so true. It is so true.
Yeah. Like I went down I did a media for a music festival on the Guadalupe River down in New Braunfels. And I was worried, like the whole pitch was that they were going to do a float. Like the first day they were going to do like a float, and then the festival was going to start after the river float. And I was like, okay, I've never done a river float, but it's October. Is it not going to be cold by the time all this happens? And they're like, maybe at night it'll get a little chilly, but during the day it's going to be fine. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, that was quite interesting because I grew up in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago where September, you stay out of that water and you don't go back in until May or June. So
I'm telling you, Texas weather is something else. It just is.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, so that's cool. Like, and then obviously jet skiing and all that stuff, but do you watch movies? Do you do anything else, or is that pretty much it during the summer?
I mean, yeah, I'm down for anything. You know, like we did that last summer. We did a huge thing where we have these big old trees kind of in our backyard, and I was like, guys, we gotta get this. We gotta get a big old string, tie it across the trees. We're gonna get a big old projector. We're gonna watch movies outside. We did that for a little bit during the summertime. So I'm always down for stuff like that. I love just getting to be creative, be outside, doing things that are like, you know, I'm a bit of an adventure junkie, so that sounds good to me. You know,
nice, awesome. That's really cool. And then as far as shows, obviously you got the one on Saturday, but what's are you in the middle of a bit of a tour, or are you getting ready to go on one?
Well, I mean, honestly, I just got a ton of shows coming up in the Texas area. Also doing some stuff. We're going out to Louisiana too. We're going to be doing some stuff out there. So kind of getting ready to travel just a bit. But yeah, I mean, just kind of doing the shows. We got some cool festivals coming up. Texas Birthday Bash. It's gonna be crazy.
Oh, wait, you're gonna be at Birthday Bash? Because
Texas Birthday Bash.
So the TV station that I work for, we're a sponsor of that event.
Oh, are you really? Yeah.
I was talking, or we were working today, and one of the producers on our team was working on that. And she's like, "Hey, watch this," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And I didn't even put two and two together because it was like, "Oh, cool." And then you brought it up. I was like, "Wait a minute, that's got to be the same thing." Like, can only be one Texas Birthday Bash. So
there you go. That's it.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Thank you.
And so you're doing. It's not technically a tour. It's just shows, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I never know what to call that because it's like
it's okay. I totally get it.
To me, it's like if you got a line of shows, even if you're coming home every night, I'd still say that's kind of a tour. But again, fair enough. So awesome. But one thing before we wrap this up, because I don't want to keep you too much longer, since you've had a nice long drive from Dallas. We play a fun little game with everybody that comes on the podcast. I'm trying to find the app. It's called That's So Random. And so I have a random question generator on my phone, and I'm going to just ask you 7 random questions, and that's the game.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. How many tweets have you made in your life?
Oh gosh. Not a lot. I'm going to say maybe geez, I literally just saw this too. It's probably like, I'm going to say somewhere between 500 and 600. Maybe that's it. My whole life.
That's the funny thing about Twitter is it actually like counts. You could actually see that number.
I was just saying, I literally was on Twitter this morning and I literally saw it. I was like, I don't tweet very often. I should probably tweet more, I saw it. I'm going to say 500 and 600. I could be totally off, but maybe.
I'm trying to be better about Twitter, but you know,
Same,
it's hard.
same.
Yeah. What is your life's slogan?
My life slogan. Goodness gracious. You know, I don't know if I have a life slogan. I'm a very it is what it is kind of person. I'm very, very go with the flow, you know, like, hey, it is what it is. It's
Yep.
gonna be what's gonna be. I'm always about like, hey, we're gonna take the situation that we're in and we're gonna make something out of it. That's just kind of
Yes.
my vibe. So I'm gonna say it is what it is.
If you ever want to piss somebody off in an argument, use that. That is the best
It
go-to
is
line.
what it is.
That is the best go.
Yeah, right.
I use it all the time at work, and it pisses my boss off to no end. And it's like, I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, we can't do anything to fix this. So yeah.
It is what it is. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Yeah, there you go.
Okay. How many notes do you have on your notes app on your phone?
Oh my gosh. Millions, thousands, ridiculous amounts, not even funny. Songs, set lists, you name it.
For sure.
Passwords.
Oh yeah. That's actually very sketchy, and I hate that I do that, but it's like, I'm never going to remember this password. So it's like,
Me either.
yeah. All right. If politics was a sport, what sport would it be?
If politics was a sport, what sport would it be? Goodness. It's got to be something like tennis.
Yeah.
Could be tennis.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just feel like it's tennis.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of
No
people are
experience.
like football or something like very full contact. And then it's like, you sit back and it's like, no, not really. It's
tennis.
tennis. All right. What's a new hobby you wish you would try out?
Man, honestly, I really wish I could learn to play the drums. I've been trying to get my drummer to teach me. I'm like, I just think it'd be so sick to just, you know, be in the middle of a show and just sit down and break out a drum solo, you know, like, you know, I don't know.
That's
I feel like
awesome.
that'd be great.
What's one country you haven't visited but would like to?
I've never been. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of listeners in Australia. And I feel like it'd be really cool to kind of make it out that way, you know? And also I hear they have really good surf. So I feel like that'd be really cool to go out there and go surfing. But like, that's just me, but I've never been. And I feel like that'd be a really cool place to go.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
have a lot of cool listeners out there. I'd love to get to play out there.
Australia is I've never been, but just their music scene is so diverse out there. It's really cool.
Right.
So plus they have a huge country music festival out there every January.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
Right. I was kind of thinking that.
Yeah. All right. And then final question. How fast do you think you could spend $1 million?
Oh gosh. It would take me forever.
Really?
I don't spend money on anything other than like music stuff, to be quite frank. Like I'm not the kind of person that's like, all right, let's go shopping, you know, like we're gonna go drop some. Yeah, I'm not. I'm a very like, you know, if I need it, I'm gonna go get it. If I don't need it, I ain't getting it kind of person. You know, I'm just kind of that way. And I feel like sometimes I know I have like friends that are like, oh my gosh, let's go do that, let's go do this. And I'm like, I'm down for the ride, but I'm a very easily amused person. So I don't know if it would take me a long time to spend $1 million.
That's for sure. I was sitting here, I was like, I could rack up a good HEB bill, but not $1 million worth, you know? So
$1 million, yeah, I don't know. That'd take a long time.
Yeah, it's like sitting on the app, it's like, oh, I don't need the yeah, I get it. No, and so that's so random. That was a fun little game that we play with everyone. So
I like that. That's cool. That's cool.
It's you know, it was one of those things that started during the pandemic where we were doing podcasts so often, and it was like I was asking a lot of the same questions, and so it was like, all right, let's break it up a little bit. And I found this app, and
that's a really cool. That's a cool idea. I like that. I always love the rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
So very cool.
That's what this started as, but all the like that would get into this flow of you'd get a couple of really things that you could ask like rapid fire, but then you'd get these ones that are like deep thought provoking things. And it's like, all right, you're killing the rapid fire part of this. So yeah.
True, that's true.
Yeah, for sure. So just kind of to wrap everything up, new single dropping Friday. You got the big show on Saturday. And if people want to kind of get more information about that or listen to the song or just follow you on social media, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, I've got all the social medias, Payton Howie Music, PaytonHowie. You can find me on any social platform. And I also have a website that's pretty easy to find all that stuff too. That's PaytonHowie.com. Has all my show listings, my tour schedule, my merchandise links, and obviously all my music, any news coming up, stuff like that. And you can pretty much find me on any social platform. Like I said, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, all that stuff, YouTube. I'm out there.
Awesome. I felt the little Texas twang come out on that one.
Just a little bit. Yes. Sometimes it does. It just kind of creeps its way in there, and I don't mean to, but it does.
I've catch myself every once in a while doing that. And it's like, it's also because I went to school in Southern Illinois, so they have their own twang of their own. And it's like, oh man, it's got us. Yeah. So, but
there you go.
Really appreciate you jumping on. It's been an absolute blast. And I'll reach out to you about Saturday and hopefully I can make that work. All that fun stuff. And once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you are not following Payton Howie, please do that. If you're listening on the podcast after we streamed, all her information will be in the description link below. So you could find her easily without having to try and type it in and all that fun stuff. Try to make it as easy as possible. But also if you're not following Live and Amplified, liveandamplified.net is the best place to go. It's got all our socials, all that fun stuff. But once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later. All right.